For as long as humans have looked toward the sky, we've wondered where we came from, who built the world around us, and whether there was ever a moment in our deep past when all of humanity stood together, united by a single voice. The Tower of Babel is more than just a biblical story. It's a riddle woven into our collective memory, a myth that appears in cultures far older than the Bible itself. Today, we explore whether humanity truly spoke one language, and why that unity shattered so dramatically that it still echoes through the thousands of languages spoken today. Imagine the world thousands of years ago, before kingdoms, before borders, before written history. According to ancient tradition, humanity once shared not just a common home, but a common tongue. No misunderstandings, no mistranslations. Just a single, unified way of thinking, speaking, and dreaming. But as people multiplied and migrated, something changed. Ambition grew, the desire to make a mark on the world, to reach the heavens themselves. And so the people came together on the plains of Shinar, in what is now southern Iraq, to build a tower, the likes of which the world had never seen. Some describe it as a ziggurat, a massive stepped pyramid stretching toward the clouds. Others believe it was a technological marvel, a symbolic link between earth and sky. But every version of the tale agrees on one thing. The tower was humanity's ultimate act of unity and ambition. As the tower soared higher, its shadow stretched across the land, and the people cheered at the progress. There were no linguistic barriers, no conflicts over interpretation. Orders were given once and understood instantly. The construction site was a symphony of cooperation, but according to the ancient narrative, this unity sparked concern or perhaps fear from the divine. Because when humans could work together flawlessly, there seemed to be no limit to what they might create. In the story, a higher power descends to observe the tower, and a judgment is rendered. If they all speak one language and can do this, they will be capable of anything. And in a single moment, the world fractures. Language collapses into chaos. Workers shout directions no one understands. Miscommunication spreads like wildfire. Tools are dropped. Arguments erupt. And the tower owns humanity's greatest masterpiece stands frozen in unfinished silence. But outside the biblical framework, linguists, archaeologists, and geneticists ask a different question. Could this story be a distant memory of something real? Did humanity ever come close to speaking just one language? Surprisingly, some scientific theories say yes. According to linguistic reconstruction, all languages today, over 7,000 of them, may trace back to one or a handful of ancestral tongues spoken tens of thousands of years ago. Some call it proto-world, the hypothetical mother of all languages. While we can't reconstruct it fully, researchers have found that certain sounds, patterns, and vocabulary roots appear again and again across cultures that were separated by oceans and millennia. Could memories of a single original language have survived through myth, eventually becoming the story of Babel? To dig deeper, we turn to ancient Mesopotamia. The region is filled with ruins of enormous ziggurats, the very structures some scholars believe inspired the Babel story. One of them, the Itimananki ziggurat of Babylon, was said to be nearly 300 feet tall, so large that ancient texts claimed it brushed the sky. The people of Babylon also believed their temple towers connected Earth with the realms of the gods. If early civilizations witnessed the collapse of such a tower or the fragmentation of a once united cultural group, they may have interpreted it as punishment from above. But something else is even more intriguing. Ancient tablets from Sumer, predating the Bible by over 1,000 years, describe a time when all people spoke the same language before the gods disrupted speech and scattered humanity. This suggests the Babel story wasanti uniket was part of a much older memory passed down for generations. Then comes the question of migration. Around 70,000 years ago, modern humans began spreading out of Africa. Genetic studies reveal that all people today can trace their ancestry back to small early groups of humans. If we all descended from such a small population, it's almost certain they spoke just one language, or perhaps variants of one. As groups migrated, isolated, and evolved culturally, language would have changed, split, and diversified. So while the biblical narrative compresses the event into a single dramatic moment, reality may have unfolded over thousands of years of gradual divergence. But imagine how it would have felt to early humans watching their neighbors slowly change their speech until it became foreign, then incomprehensible. What seemed like a divine shattering of language could simply have been the natural evolution of communication. Many scientists also point to something fascinating. Humans show an unusual sensitivity to language differences. Even small variations in dialect can create strong identity boundaries. This suggests that once linguistic diversity began, it likely accelerated rapidly, creating the impression of sudden confusion. In other words, while the story of Babel may not reflect one literal moment of divine intervention, it may be rooted in humanity's memory of when communication began breaking into different streams so quickly that it felt supernatural. Another theory proposes that the Tower of Babel wasn't just a structure but a metaphor for early civilization's reach exceeding its grasp. Building monumental architecture required vast labor forces. If a city grew too fast or demanded too much from its workers, social collapse might follow. Archaeologists have documented the sudden abandonment of major ancient sites, sometimes due to famine, drought, or political turmoil. To a later storyteller, the dramatic collapse of a great construction project could as highly be attributed to divine punishment, and the cultural breakup could symbolize the scattering of languages. Yet the story persists for another reason, because it reflects something deeply human. Humanity is capable of astonishing unity, but we're equally prone to division. One moment we can build wonders together. The next, we misunderstand each other to the point of conflict. The Tower of Babel is a warning wrapped inside a memory. A reminder that our greatest potential requires communication, harmony, and understanding, and that the loss of shared language can unravel even the most ambitious dreams. But there's one final twist. In recent centuries, languages that diverged for thousands of years are once again converging. Globalization, translation technologies, and international communication are slowly weaving humanity back together. Some even wonder whether the curse of Babel is gradually being reversed not by divine intervention, but by human innovation. If ancient people once believed the gods separated us through language, then today's world suggests that we are learning, step by step, how to rebuild the bridge. So, did humanity ever speak one language? Maybe not in the exact way the story describes. But the deeper truth behind the Tower of Babel may be that once, long before cities and towers, we were far more unified than we are today. And while the ancient tower may have fallen, the memory of that unity still stands at the center of one of humanity's most enduring legends.